Hi friends, Dirk here. TTArtisan just released a brand new full-frame autofocus lens, the 75mm f2. Available for Sony E, Nikon Z and L-mount cameras. And to find out if it's worth the money, I want to put it head to head against the trusted Lumix S 85mm f1.8. We'll compare them in real-world categories and assign points along the way. To be honest, I thought this comparison would be over quickly. Budget lens versus proven performer, but the outcome truly surprised me. A lot. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's start with the price. The TTArtisan 75mm f2 retails at $199 and the Lumix S 85mm f1.8 retails at $600, but very often you can get it for even less than $500. Still, it's more than twice the price, so a clear point for the TTArtisan. Before heading out into the Florida heat, let's talk about build quality. The TTArtisan has a full metal body, a very smooth going focus ring, we get a clicky aperture ring, but the aperture markers are a little bit off. Anyway, we don't have weather sealing, and here on the bottom of the lens cap we get a USB-C port where we can directly update the firmware. The lens hood is made of plastic and has a unique shape. The Lumix lens is made of plastic. It has a focus ring with a bit more resistance. We get an AF/MF switch, and what I like is it's weather sealed. The Lumix lens hood is made of plastic and much bigger. We don't have a USB-C port to update the firmware, but overall I would say it has a slight advantage over the TTArtisan. It simply feels more refined, so I have to give the point to the Lumix lens. To take real-world photos, I visited the Baywater Boat Club that was heavily hit by Hurricane Ian in 2021, but now has been beautifully rebuilt. The center sharpness on both lenses is excellent and on par. I can't see a winner. But in the corners, the Lumix clearly wins at every f-stop. In fact, it takes the TTArtisan up to f11 to even catch up. So this is a clear point for the Lumix S85 f1.8. But to put it in perspective, compared to a $600 expensive Sirui Aurora 85mm f1.4, the TTArtisan is still sharper. Not too bad. The TTArtisan has a slight pincushion distortion, while the Lumix is distortion free. Also in terms of vignetting, the Lumix is slightly better than the TTArtisan, but it's really minimal. So it's not a clear knockout, but a tiny win for the Lumix. Now this was unexpected. Thanks to special coatings, the TTArtisan has less chromatic aberrations compared to the Lumix S 85mm f1.8. And we have also less longitudinal aberrations on this lens. So clear point for the TTArtisan. When it comes to autofocus in photo mode, I have to say both lenses performed flawlessly. I was truly impressed with both of them. There are no issues, and that's why we don't have a clear winner here. So no points. In video mode, the TTArtisan focuses quickly, but isn't silent. There's a faint motor sound and a bit pulsing before locking the focus. The Lumix, on the other hand, is whisper quiet and steady. So that's a point for the Lumix. Here's a surprise. Although both lenses show some focus breathing, the TTArtisan actually handled it better. Point for the TTArtisan. Manually focusing felt smoother and more predictable with the TTArtisan, although it's not linear. the Lumix focus ring is stiffer and harder to nail precisely. And it's also a little bit grinding. I'm not sure if my microphone can pick it up, but let's try. And now in comparison, the TTArtisan. Point for the TTArtisan. In terms of bokeh, the Lumix lens has a slight advantage with its faster aperture, but even if we stop it down to f2, I have to say that the bokeh balls produced by this lens are a bit nicer compared to the TTArtisan. Here, the bokeh balls are nice, but when we're coming to the edge, they look a little bit more cat-eye-ish. But I have to say they look very similar, and I was very impressed with the TTArtisan. Still, slight advantage and point for the Lumix. Another surprise to me was that the TTArtisan produced nicer sun stars and had less problems with flaring compared to the more expensive Lumix lens. The images coming from both lenses look very similar. Logically, the 75mm is a bit wider, but in general the overall image quality on both lenses is very impressive. Because of the lens flare, I give this point to the TTArtisan. To summarize, both lenses ended up with 5 points. But since we counted chromatic aberrations and longitudinal aberrations as only 1 point, I find that TTArtisan has the upper hand and comes out on top. No, it's not the perfect lens, but it absolutely has its place. And it's not just a compromise for those who are on a budget, it is actually a very viable solution. I honestly did not expect this, and maybe you're surprised too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Just so you know, I tested everything on my soon-to-be-X S1R2. Yes, I decided to sell it on eBay. And in my next video, I'll let you know what I purchased instead. And this might shock you. Till the next time, stay safe, stay tuned, and take care. Bye for now.